thing ever. She had been a stripper for like 6. And I can't imagine setting a worse example for my daughters than by having a mother who was.
You could do whatever you want to do. I'm sure there's some men out there that would take you as you are.
Guys that reject hot chicks and then slum, meaning you dated a hot girl and then decided that hot girl was not for you and are now dating a girl that is not nearly as hot.
My husband is right all of the time. Your husband is a smart man. Give him more credit.
The more I understand and respect why men deal with women the way that they do.
Hey guys, welcome back to More to Life. Now, before I get into this video, I ask that you like, comment, subscribe. Also, smash that notification bell just to be sure you get all my videos as soon as I release them. Let's get right into this.
Does a woman's past matter to a man? So when I was 25, I finished university and I met a girl, and she's like 5'10", blonde, just smoking. And we started dating for a couple months, and I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. Like, I was just 25 and I was infatuated, right? And then about 3 months into the relationship, she's like, hey, I need to have a conversation with you about something, and it's something you should know about me. And it turned out there was no accident there. Her body was like the most incredible thing ever. She had been a stripper for like 6 years. I didn't know this. And here's a question, like, did that change my perception of her in any way at all? I mean, I can't control my biology. Like, there was something that changed in my mechanism that said, hey, like, maybe this is not the girl for me. Why? Well, she gave that up. But I might have daughters one day. I'm sorry, guys, this is going to sound offensive, but I can't imagine a bigger failure as a father than my daughters being strippers. And I can't imagine setting a worse example for my daughters than by having a mother who was.
Real talk.
Right. Stand on your ground. Stand on your square. All of that, brother. No, you can't allow that because she's a stripper. Those women allow things from customers. Like nights, they take them home some nights when they're not making money. They get depressed. It plays on their brain. They say, okay, just one time. And then it turns into every time. And then drug habit. Just one time. Never in a cycle.
Does a woman's past really matter that much? If you ask me, I say yes. And to a lot of other men, they also would agree with this statement. See, when a woman looks at her partner, she looks at him and sees his potential for the future. And one of a woman's favorite traits is ambition, because it shows that the man is never comfortable. He's always trying to upgrade his situation. And biologically, when a woman sees this trait, she knows that she will be protected as well as her offspring. But when a guy is looking for a partner, if we learn that a girl was tossed around, has a really, really high body count, and really just doesn't have a lot of respect for herself in her past, this is just something that as a man you are naturally repulsed by. And before the women go crazy in the comments, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm sure there's some men out there that would take you as you are. But for a lot of guys, we look at our woman as like our beautiful angel, right? This is my woman. This is someone I am proud of. How could I be proud of you if I know what you were doing before I was around? How could I be proud of you if I know that you used to be the girl that literally let the whole club hit? You let the whole football team hit. And now the whole football team could look at me and say, damn, if only he knew what I was doing to his girl back in the day.
Well, I just got rejected by a guy, and this is the second time it's happened this year. You guys know that I'm looking for a man to spoil rotten, okay? And just let me know, be honest, if I overdid it a little too much. I cooked for him every single night, and if he didn't like the meal, I would make him something different. I bought him his favorite Lego sets because he felt bad buying them for himself because they're so expensive. I was a giver in every aspect of our relationship. I created a Spotify playlist of his favorite songs. I scratched his head and back and cuddled him. I was the big spoon. Every single night he came over to my house. I would send him cute messages every single morning telling him how much I appreciated him and how attractive he was to me. All for him to tell me that I was a little too much in suffocating him and really not his physical type, but he was really glad that he gave it a go. My therapist is gonna have a field day with this one. So yeah, I'm back on the market, so who wants to break my heart next?
Something seems up. You see how she's trying to highlight the boobage area and showing the cleavage a lot? She's like, look, the camera trick she's doing.
Into a couple of thirst traps.
Right at the end, she shows it to her cleavage. Maybe she's trying to get followers. I see something different. That's an off mama. She comes across like an off mama. That's how I would feel. I think because I know too much, right? Like she's doing all that, rubbing my back. I'm like, wait a minute. Let me start doing some research. Seriously, I feel she's an off mama because that's what off mamas do. Do anything because I gotta keep this man, right? This man, what I do in his eyes is repulsive. I gotta do everything to let this man know I want him. I'm here for him because you're doing the most wicked things of all time, all the time of mankind. You're doing all of the wicked things, doing all kinds of deplorable, nasty things, and no man wants that. So yes, you're going to please him, but hey, when you're giving too much, that's too much for a man. You treat him like a woman too. So either way, it's still off.
I'm probably gonna get shit for this video, but honestly, I don't care. I'm gonna make it anyway. I want to talk about guys that reject hot chicks and then slum, meaning you dated a hot girl and then decided that hot girl was not for you and are now dating a girl that is not nearly as hot. Obviously, there can be a lot of factors as to why you reject a hot girl. This is just a very broad generalization, but I'm gonna say it. I think the main reason that men reject hot women is because they don't want to have to work that hard. I mean, I think it's no secret that hot chicks tend to have higher expectations and higher standards than maybe less attractive women. I know how that sounds. It sounds really bad, but I think it's just because, again, hot chicks are just used to being treated a certain way. So I do think oftentimes when attractive men meet attractive women, they're almost like, crap, I'm actually gonna have to put in a lot of work here. Whereas girls that are less attractive just don't require that much work. To be clear, I think that you guys should be putting in work for whoever you are dating, no matter what they look like. But I think that girls that are less attractive, I mean, they're gonna be more likely to just accept you for how you are. They're gonna appreciate you more. They're going to demand less.
Don't make assumptions.
They're gonna make you feel better about yourself. Again, obviously, I'm sure that it's like you could break up with a hot chick because she's just an asshole. But if that were really the case, then why wouldn't you date another hot girl afterwards? And yes, I understand that obviously other things than looks are more important, and you could have matured and realized like, hey, I actually want to date somebody that I have in common with and makes me laugh and that's smart and cool and not just hot. But there are hot girls that have good personalities and that are smart and cool and you have things in common with too. They're just higher maintenance.
Anyway, this is my story.
I get it, you're gonna call me shallow and all of that, but I'm just calling it like I see it. Am I crazy?
Absolutely.
Let me know in the comments below. Follow me for more tips.
Shallow as hell. But in realness, in all actuality, they're usually more of a problem. They usually think they deserve it all. A little too much. And that's a problem. That's a problem for a lot of guys because they're more entitled. Nobody wants an entitled hot girl. That's usually why guys sometimes will pass them up.
I'm probably going to lose some followers over this, and oh well. My husband is right all of the time. Yeah, you heard me say it. He is right all of the time. I don't mean just like, oh, he was right about something small or this or that. No, he is right about everything.
It's what we do, right? Yeah.
When I was talking about quitting my job back in November, December, and I was so against it, he talked me into it, basically. He was my voice of reason. He is always my voice of reason. That man knows better. He knows so much more than people give credit. It does not have to be anything big. It could be a small situation, but that man is always right. All of the time. I don't hear any females saying that on this platform, or any platform for that matter. Why is that? Why do we not give our husbands more credit? Why? They're smart men. And honestly, a lot of women that say, oh my God, I'm right all the time and my husband's always wrong. That's disturbing to me. That's a weird energy to have. Your husband is a smart man. You might not think that. He's a smart guy. Give him more credit. Let your husband have an opinion. Is that crazy? No, because he's a person too. I come to my husband for advice. For everything. Because he is my husband and my teammate and my life partner and my ride or die, because that man has a lot of really great values. He has a lot of really good life experiences. Granted, he's a 32-year-old operator in the same area that he grew up in, but he's been through a lot of stuff. And I take into account everything that man has been through and everything that his heart and his mind have been through. Give your man more credit.
Couldn't be said better, right? More women need to do that. What she did as a woman, she broke herself down. She humbled herself. She went more so to the traditional way. Listen to your man. Love your man. Appreciate your man. Listen to everything your man says. She sacrificed herself. And she did it to the right man, which is why they'll probably be married for a very long time.
The more I discover about myself, the more that I understand about women as a whole, the more I understand and respect why men deal with women the way that they do. And I'm not talking about the mistreatment, the poor treatment that women always focus on when they talk about men, right? I'm talking about the boundaries they enforce, the respect they command, the way they protect women from knowing certain things. Women don't realize a lot of times you just not knowing certain things is protection, right? There's a lot of ways that men have that when a woman knows herself, when she knows how women operate and understand women ways, she will understand her man better. And she will understand why he moves the way that he does. It's a requirement to be protected from themselves. Like, women are unaware of themselves and they're unaware of the effect that they have on people. And when you are unaware of yourself, you can't understand why people will treat you the way they will do, why they respond to you in the ways that they do. And I talk about this in my Glamour Magic Manifesto. Knowing yourself is the most important thing in life, because that way you can navigate through the world and curate or create the life you desire, a desirable life. But many women are very clueless about simple things of why men don't tell us anything, right? So some time ago, I spoke about having to cut women off eventually, right? When I allow them into my world, into my space, right? Because what happens with women is, with me, I have a way of enrolling people in what I'm doing, right? In wanting to do the work, and because they get real-time information on what it looks like to do the work. It's different from being on the internet, right? And due to that, women don't work on themselves. What they do is study me and try to adapt my ways. Women do that online too, but in real life, it's more intense, right? And I have to eventually cut them off because they're not ascending in the ways that they think they are. They're actually regressing, and it's my fault because I know better. I see women, I see through them, I understand them, and it always ends up in this. It's the same patterns with women. They get very close to me, and then they think they're doing the work. But what they're doing is just accepting certain truths without really understanding why things are the way that they are. Women think that ascending is just accepting all the bad things in life, the truth you don't want to accept. right? Without truly dealing with their issues. And it's setting them up for failure, right? And so eventually I have to part ways because women get stuck with making me their goal and what they think I am instead of discovering who they are. It's akin to what women do to men. Women enmesh themselves with whoever they're with. They do it differently with men, right? It's a romantic level, but with me, it's like women want to become me or a version of me because they don't want to seem like they're trying to be like me. It's really a dangerous place to be in because what happens is they find out that it's so many layers to me and they can't keep up because they have.
See, what she's talking about why most women, like, they figure it out. When women say, some women really mean it. When they say, I can't be friends with other women, right? And she realized what she noticed was the same thing that men notice about women. They all play along to get along for a purpose, right? Not all women. Very few women don't. But what she learned is most of them do this. And they'll adapt. And it's kind of like when women have to eat, right? Women are the gatherers, men are the hunters. Women had to gather under a good hunter. So she played along to get along to get what she needed. And she notices that attitude in so many women. And she despises it. That's what men despise. Men despise women that get along like, or for instance, the same woman that says, I want the man to make 100,000, 6 feet. Because why? They want to make more hundreds. They don't know their psychology is thinking that way. It's truly selfish. And what happens is she's noticing that selfish nature. And when you start to notice it, everything starts to open up and you don't want to deal with it. And that's what she's going through.
All right, ladies, my single ladies, this video is for you. I think I might have figured out this situation that we're having with us independent women having issues with men saying that we have our standards are too high. This is very interesting. So I was thinking to myself today, why is it that if a man had expectations of a woman, he wants her to be attractive. He wants her to be something in the bedroom, right? He wants her to be light and funny and carefree and youthful. He wants her to, or whatever, I'm just saying, whatever he might want from her, right? He would love to have a woman that cooks. He would, whatever. Men would have these expectations. I know this. I have brothers. I have male friends. I know that they have expectations too. But yet a woman never calls that high standards in a man, that he would have expectations of a partner that he would like to match with. But because we are financially independent and then saying we're going to stay single until a man can add value back into our lives rather than drain it, now we have high standards. So I was thinking about where this might have come from. Back in the day, the men made all the money. They controlled everything. It was their show. It was their call. The woman made had the babies, made the food, took care of the man in the bedroom, did those things. And she didn't get to have much else of a voice. He told her when they were going to have their dinner parties, who he was bringing over from work. She just catered to him. But as the women began to make their own money, they also realized that meant they got to choose for themselves. Is a choice a high standard? I think in a man's...
It's not the same thing, right? But this you got to understand. Most women that are making the money, say there's women making 100,000, 200,000, whatever, right? They want a man that makes the same amount of money, that's handsome, while they walking around at fours, claiming their tens, looking like a sloppy Joe. It doesn't equal up. But if a man looks that way, a woman's going to oblige because she needs to survive. As you said, that's what happened in the past. But now women are trying to be men. If you're going to be that way, get a guy that just came out of jail who's handsome and pay his way. That's the only way. It's the same thing men do for women. You got to understand, it doesn't equal up. Just because you can go make the money doesn't equal up to me making the money. Why? Because you're not going to give me anything, but you expect it from me. So if I'm with you, I'm making 100,000, you're making 100,000. When you get pregnant, you expect me to pay all the bills. But let me let her finish though. I want to see if she says something that's a little different.
Eyes it is. If a woman now doesn't just go with any guy, but now we want a guy to actually match our energies, is one of the words that I used. And I think men are intimidated by this because they see a woman who has high energy and they think, I can't keep up with her. I know this because I've had these conversations out with these guys at night that they'll tell me like, oh, I'd never be able to keep up with you. You're too high maintenance. You're too high energy. You're too whatever. So I think what it is I think it's partly because some of the men we're meeting are lazy. I'm just going to say it. And they don't want to have to work for anything outside of their 9-to-5 job. That's what they do. They go to work, they come home, they don't want to work anything after that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They're allowed to have that vibe if that's what they want. But they can't fault us for wanting more. What do we want? We want to have our day things that we go do, but we also want to have a partnership with our partner. So that might be going out to dinner once a week. It might be hanging out and watching TV at night together. It might be, hey, I'll cook the dinners. Can you fix the sink tonight? It could be whatever. But it's also doesn't have to have anything to do with us asking the man to do anything. All we're saying is we already have our lives good. So why would we bring somebody else in that's going to take away from what we've already created? All we're saying, ladies, right, is that we want somebody to come in and add, plus it, be part of it, enjoy it with us, and bring something to the table. Honesty, good energy, maybe we just share similar interests, similar thoughts in the future. But I think the high standard conversation comes from either men who are lazy and they don't want to be asked to do things to keep up with us. I think that's a big part of it. And two, I think they're just threatened by the fact that now because we make our own money, they don't get to call all the shots. I don't know. What do you think?
No, that's not the case at all, right? So if you want more guys, because not every guy is like that. A lot of men just want to do their work, come home, and have peace. So if you want more men to do that, you're out of luck, right? Because a lot of women who are wanting this are not hot stuff, but they want the man to match the energy. That's not happening. That's not happening on the level that it needs to happen. It's never gonna happen. Why? Because it wasn't meant to be this way. Like in all actuality, we started in Eden. It wasn't meant. God didn't have a mind for women to be independent, and we, man and woman, was supposed to be following God. That's how it's supposed to be. It's actually not supposed to be woman following a man. Y'all created that. I don't want to go deep into it. I could go deep. I could go deep. But let's continue on.
Okay, but by the time a boy gets to the age where he's being romantically rejected by partners, he's already internalized the message that he is not lovable as he is. And when I talk about, a variety of subconscious messaging, this can be stuff learnt through the media that can include that. But I'm also talking about moments where, a parent, a mum or a dad, saying something like, oh, don't cry, big boys don't cry. In that moment, the boy isn't consciously learning, I am not lovable as myself. I cannot be loved as I truly am. He's consciously learning boys aren't supposed to cry, but on a subconscious level through loads of different experiences like that. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of different micro experiences. There's a subconscious message that is learned, which is I am not good enough. as myself. I can't be myself. I'm not lovable as myself. And then that is affirmed when they get to the age where romantic partners are rejecting them.
You see, this is dangerous, right? Because you're telling men not to be men. You're telling men to care about their feelings. That's what you're doing. And that's what society nowadays is doing. That's why it was such a big thing when Donald Trump won, right? Because there's a bunch of liberals talking like her, going against conservatives, right? And this is what you can understand. The original way is the best way. The original way is usually the men that run the country, the men that run the world, and all nations were raised with that same mindset. They were. So you're telling, and it's sad. Nowadays, you're telling men to be weak. So a man being romantically rejected, he needs to work on himself. That's why over here in men's spaces, it's good for a lot of men because men know, hey, look, maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to switch it up. Why do you need to switch it up? Because the same results is just doing the same thing, getting the same results, and thinking expecting different is insanity. That's why. So, yes, I'm gonna tell my son, don't cry, get up. Why? So his name every time he falls. Why? Because later in life, he's gonna have more heartaches that he needs to get up from. But let me hear what you got to say.
For showing their emotions. And the really sad thing is, the more that this message is subconsciously internalized in childhood, probably the more likely that a man is going to end up in partnerships with women who will reject that side of him. It becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy because those women are out there, and I've never denied that they are. There are lots and lots of women out there who, you know, really uphold standards of masculinity, and men who have been taught to, you know, try and uphold that standard of masculinity in themselves tend to be attracted to women who will affirm that in them rather than women who will kind of love them for who they are. Because on at least a subconscious level, and maybe a conscious level at that point, they believe I can't be loved as I truly am. And they also believe I have to live up to this standard of masculinity. And again, that might be subconscious, it might be conscious as well. But that belief drives them towards certain partnerships. And again, because I'm saying a lot of this is subconscious, I'm not saying like, oh, you know, men are always choosing women who are bad for them. Like, our subconscious does drive most of our behaviour, and we've all known people who are in patterns of always ending up with someone who is quite obviously bad for them from the get-go, you know, and they're not consciously going like, oh, I really want partners who are going to give me a horrible time, but their subconscious is driving them towards certain patterns of behaviour in other people.
It's time to stop! No more!
That they're not even fully aware of, you know? Now, obviously, a lot of what I've said doesn't apply to...
This woman is just making up a whole bunch of things as she goes, seriously, because I'm listening to her, it's like, you're just making stuff up. And it's sad. It's sad, because everybody's doing this nowadays. They're talking about how they feel, because none of what she said made any sense. That's today's day and age. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. See you next video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.
Who's coming?